Hey guys, let's get more news about Miami Heat, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Milwaukee Bucks, Damian Lillard attempted, and failed, to recruit Miami Heat forward in free agency. According to a report by Heat insider Barry Jackson, Lillard reached out to Haywood Highsmith in an attempt to lure the 6'7" forward to Milwaukee. Dame's effort proved futile, though, as Highsmith eventually agreed to a 2-year extension with the Heat worth $11 million, Bucks and Suns offered minimum deals. Damian Lillard called Haywood to lobby him. Heat ended up being fortunate that he didn't have a higher offer elsewhere while the Heat remained non-committal with him, Jackson reported on X, formerly Twitter. Despite Lillard's desire to get Highsmith to Milwaukee, it appears that the Bucks were not as enthused. They either had a lower offer on the table as compared to that of Miami, or the Bucks never even bothered offering Highsmith a deal. Either way, the 27-year-old will now resume his career in Miami after producing averages of 6.1 points, 3.2 rebounds, 1.1 assists, and 1.2 triples in 20.7 minutes off the bench last season. Lillard will now need to take his recruitment efforts elsewhere. DeRozan chose the Kings to stay on the West Coast. The Lakers never even made an offer. DeRozan reportedly chose to sign with the Sacramento Kings over the Miami Heat because of his desire to live on the West Coast. As reported by Shams Charania, living close to his hometown of Los Angeles was important to him. Charania even added that the Lakers, who had been linked to DeRozan, never even made any offer. It was really down to the Kings and the Miami Heat from what I'm told as far as DeRozan's next home. He really wanted to land in a competitive environment, and also, I'm told he wanted to go back west at the end of the day. The Kings pushed the hardest, they pushed the fastest, throughout free agency to get a deal done. They're a playoff contender, a team that is trying to get to the cusp of being a title contender. I'm told Vivek Ranadive, the Kings owner, really clinched this in their meeting over the weekend in Sacramento. I'm told the Lakers never went beyond expressing simple interest in DeRozan. There were no offers or tangible conversations with the Bulls on a sign-and-trade deal. So this is the second straight free agency that perception-wise. Would DeRozan have had to take less money in free agency? Was he going to have to take the mid-level exception to land at a destination? For the second straight free agency, he lands in a sign-and-trade, and his last 2 deals have been a combined 5-year, $161 million. That speaks to DeRozan's relationships, how he's known across the league, and the pedigree and respect he has from teams, in this case including the Sacramento Kings, Spurs, and Bulls who contributed to these sign-and-trades. DeRozan not even being offered a deal by the Lakers is surprising, considering how the Lakers had been linked to him, and the Lakers' inactivity in the market to bolster their team. But perhaps Rob Pelinka chose not to gut the team in order to land DeRozan. Kings owner Vivek Ranadive spoke to DeRozan on camera after his sign-and-trade deal was confirmed by the Suns. Ranadive joked about the other teams that had interest in DeRozan, before claiming those teams were not like us, a reference to Kendrick Lamar's now iconic diss track at Drake, which includes a bar about DeRozan. So I know everybody wants you. Every team, every city, all the players. But I got one thing to tell you. They're nothing like us. DeRozan signing for the Kings is a statement of intent from the franchise. They have been able to rise through the Western Conference ranks over the last few years, as they assembled a solid roster around De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. They made the playoffs for the first time in 16 years in 2023 but got knocked out in the first round by the Warriors. This season, they made the play-in tournament but were knocked out by the Pelicans. They will be looking to make strides in the stacked Western Conference next year. DeRozan averaged 24.0 points, 5.3 assists, and 4.3 rebounds in 79 games last season with the Bulls. He will be a solid third option for the Kings as they look to return to the playoffs. Heat's Jimmy Butler given strong warning on leaving Miami. It was seen as a bit of good news earlier this offseason when Heat star Jimmy Butler was reported to have dropped his demand for a contract extension, worth as much as $113 million over 2 years on top of the 2-year and $101 million Miami already owes him, a number the Heat were never going to dole out for a player who had trouble staying healthy last season and who turns 35 in September. The change of heart on Butler's part was reported by The Athletic in late June, and was good for the Heat because it put an end to the speculation that Butler would seek a trade from the team and head to a team that was willing to pay him the extra 2 seasons. The Sixers and Warriors were at the fore of that chatter. But both of those teams prioritized a pursuit of Paul George to open free agency. Maybe of more concern for Butler is that there were no teams on the market, especially once George went to Philadelphia, willing to commit to paying Butler max money beyond his present contract. If his contract was too cumbersome for other teams this summer, it's not going to get any easier next summer. That's the warning to Butler coming from the Miami Herald, which crunched the numbers and surveyed the landscape on Butler this week and came to the conclusion that no serious title contender would have the ability to sign Butler into space next summer without moving significant money. Of course, Herald reporter Barry Jackson pointed out that the danger runs 2 ways. Butler is in peril of not getting a new max deal next summer. It can be worth 4 years and $243 million with the Heat or 3 years and $171 million with another team, but the Heat are equally in peril of losing out on Butler with nothing in return. Losing Butler would drop the Heat well below the luxury tax and allow them to use their $13 million mid-level exception. But it would not create enough space to sign a max free agent, not without jettisoning other salary, Terry Rozier and, perhaps, Duncan Robinson. Likely the only way for Butler to find a new team on a max deal would be to find a sign-and trade, a deal that would require Butler and the Heat to find a team willing to make something close to an equitable trade. Very few teams, aside from teams in rebuilds, could realistically clear out the cap space to sign Butler to a max deal or anything close to it without the Heat's assistance to help facilitate a sign-and trade, Jackson wrote. So a sign-and trade is the more likely outcome if Butler leaves the Heat next summer. The chances of the Heat losing Butler for nothing aren't high, though not out of the question. All this could be moot if Butler simply returns to health and plays like his old self next year. After leading the Miami Heat to the NBA Finals in 2023 despite earning just the number 8 seed in the East, Butler had a disappointing season in 2023-24. He averaged 20.8 points, 5.3 rebounds, and 5.0 assists, the 4th straight season he eclipsed the 20-5-5 plateau, but played only 60 games and failed to earn an All-Star spot for the 2nd straight year. Butler injured his knee during the Heat's play-in game before Miami faced the Celtics. He missed the entire series, which the Heat lost in 5 games. After the playoff loss, team president Pat Riley, generally a staunch Butler supporter, had a public rebuke of Butler that fueled speculation about the player's long-term security with the team. Riley rebuked Butler for trolling the Celtics and Knicks as they advanced in the playoffs, saying the teams would be at home if he had not been injured. For him to say that, I thought, is that Jimmy trolling or is that Jimmy serious? Riley said in May. If you're not on the court playing against Boston, if you're not on the court playing against the New York Knicks, you should keep your mouth shut in your criticism of those teams. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Jimmy Butler? Leave your opinion in the comments.